do it again.
So what's the balance?
So, yeah, but are you ready for the assessment link?
If she's ready to
Yes.
come in, she can come in, yes.
Sorry.
She's been waiting patiently.
Council 1823.
Come on in here.
Okay, it is just after 9:30, and I would like to call the meeting to order. We are a little late getting going this morning due to technical difficulties, so I'd like to call the meeting to order. And we have all members of council in the council chamber this morning. We also have our CAO, Deepak Joshi, and we also have our office manager, Heather Stanek, with us this morning. So with that, I will ask for the resolution to adopt the agenda, please.
Resolve the agenda for the meeting be adopted as circulated with the noted additions. New business 6.5, dust control policy, additional applications.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strang, Councillor Spicer seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, confirmation of the minutes. We have one set of minutes from our last meeting of May the 24th, and if I could have the resolution for those, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just for some information, there were some typos that were corrected in the minutes in 4.1 and 7.22, and those have been corrected, and the minutes have been made available.
Thank you.
And so resolved the minutes of May 24th, 2023, regular meeting of council be adopted as presented.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horwath, Councillor Vazarowicz seconds. Any discussion? Any other corrections or anything that needs to be adjusted in the minutes? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the reception of delegations, and assessment services are here to do us the tax impact. And if you just want to come forward and have a seat.
I have a little handout here.
Oh, okay, perfect. Deepak is going to come and grab those from you. And
Thank you.
Okay, and I'm not sure if you know any of the council members, but we all have our names in front of us. And we may have some questions once you do your presentation, so.
Okay, I'll do my best to answer all.
And I see, I've not seen you here before, so are you new to this area assessing, or have you been there for a while, like in the assessment branch?
I started at Steinbach.
Oh, okay.
And then I moved to Selkirk probably 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
now. So, yeah, I worked in St. Clements a little bit.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay.
And you can just go ahead.
Okay, so my name is Jennifer Foster, and thank you for having me this morning. The reason I'm here is to update you on the 2023 reassessment numbers in the RM of St. Clements. So, assessment services is legislated to do a reassessment every 2 years. Because of the pandemic, it was delayed 1 year. So the last reassessment was done in 2020. And then, of course, 2023 is the new reassessment, but then it will revert back to 2 years. So 2025 will be the next reassessment that we do. So the reassessment numbers for 2023 are based on the reference date of April 1st, 2021. So when we were determining the values, we were looking at sales from April 1st, 2018 to April 1st, 2021. And, you know, if it sold April 2nd, 2021, it wasn't included in our calculations. So the assessment notices were mailed out today to ratepayers, so the calls will likely start coming in. If there are calls about the reassessment or their assessment values, then obviously they can be directed to our office in Selkirk. We are also having an open house here on July 5th from 3 to 8 p.m. for any great heirs to come and bring their assessments, and we'll try and answer all their questions and let them know how it all works. Another thing that we implemented to make it a little easier for them to contact us is every Wednesday from 4 to 7. If somebody can't come to the open house or doesn't have access to a phone during work hours, they can call and make an appointment on a Wednesday evening from 4 to 7, and we can do a virtual meeting or call them up, like just on the phone, so that, you know, we're trying to make it a little more easy to get a hold of us and be able to discuss their assessments. So those calls are every Wednesday, and they'll go all the way until July 6th.
Jennifer, what was the time that the open house was going to be here on July the 5th?
3 p.m. till 8 p.m.
3 till 8, thank you.
And I have a brochure here I'll leave with you. And it has actually a list of all the open houses across Manitoba. And I mean, if they're at the lake, you know, and they want to come and see somebody in Winnipeg Beach when that open house is, they can, about their assessment in St. Clement. They can go to any open house. So I'll leave that with you. Okay, so in the Arm of St. Clements, there's 7,740 taxable roll numbers. There was 548 sales within that 3-year period, 2018 to 2021, and 480 of them were deemed valid. So 68 were deemed to be invalid sales. Every sale that comes through land titles, we verify. And we have different ways of verifying sales. We have access to the Keystone Matrix or MLS, and we also do physical inspections, and we contact the purchaser or the vendor. So any sales that are extremely motivated or dollar sales, like title transfers, are kicked out of the system. Or not out of the system, but out of our evaluation. So just some fun facts. The highest residential sale in that time period was $1.399 million. The highest commercial sale was $1.26 million. And the highest farm sale was $1.34 million. We completed 407 maintenance items, and a maintenance item is like a new build of a home, a new garage, a demolition, any alterations to a property they get a permit for, and that triggers us to go out and do an inspection. So we did 407 of those. For appeals, we had in the 2020 tax year, so the first year of the reassessment, we had 23 appeals. 2021 we had 17, and 2022 we had 6. And right now in the Arm of St. Clements we have 1 pending municipal board still. So the objectives of our assessments are, of course, to achieve equity. We want to make sure the assessments are on pace with the changing market conditions. We want to make sure that they're current and everyone's paying their fair share of taxes. And it also, when we update every 2 years, it makes it easier for the homeowner to evaluate their assessments and understand them. We used to do it every 4 years, and we found that we were very far behind. So the market is changing drastically. So
Can I just stop you for a second?
Yeah.
Councillor Boulanger has
Oh,
a
sorry.
question.
Jennifer, and I'm pretty sure you guys aren't influenced by how sales go and what people are paying for the housing market. When they say the housing market's gonna balance out or plane out, you guys are going out and you're assessing what you're actually seeing. So it's a value that's given to the residents or to whatever you're looking at based on your interpretation. You're really not influenced by what people actually are paying. Although you do, I know you do, because when we have our assessment, you look in the surrounding areas and you find out what sales, but I'm trying to find the balance between what actual value of a house is and overzealous in sales. Like when someone's asking $400,000 for their home, but people are giving them and offering them, $490,000 to $500,000, the house isn't worth that. Assessment is saying, you know what I'm saying? I'm just wondering how that influences your department's decision on the numbers.
So we We use the historical sales because we don't want to react to the market. We certainly
That's
don't
what
want to
I'm
react to this market.
That's what I'm getting at.
So that's why we're using sales that have been completed and through land titles. So if the market, if everybody is paying higher than, you know, $490 for houses, I mean, right now, the bidding wars are insane. Their houses are going for 150,000 over asking price. Like, to me, asking price doesn't really mean anything right now. So if everybody is paying that, then that's the market.
Okay.
But we do realize that there are highly motivated sales, and, you know, there's very low sales too. So that's why we use the median. It's mass appraisal.
Okay, good.
And we make sure that these are verified sales.
Okay.
So next, if this market just keeps increasing, it's going to be reflected in the 2025 assessment. If the market stales or even decreases, it'll be reflected as well.
Councillor Spicer also has a question.
I think that was one of the reasons why you went to 2 years too, because then, like if you have a quick blip, it's a short period of time before it's reassessed and looked
Oh,
at
yeah.
again, right?
Great.
So then, sure, it may go up now, but then if you listen to the news, in 2 years, it'll be coming at least partway back down, so then the assessments will theoretically go lower.
Right.
Yeah, it'll be the median of it.
But you're 3 years behind now, really, eh?
Well,
Yeah.
we're April 1st, 2021, so
Yeah.
it'll
So
be
it's
2 years behind.
actually to the homeowner's advantage, really, eh?
Yes.
This round.
This round, yeah. So, like, we are using sales from 2018 pre-pandemic, and then it really started going up, I'd say like May 2020, April, or June 2020. So it's a mix of both, pre-pandemic and post-pandemic. And then after April 1st, 2021, we're still seeing them rise. But we haven't done any kind of evaluation for 2025, but just looking at the market, you can tell that they're still increasing greatly.
Go ahead, Councillor Bazarowicz.
Any truth to what I heard about recreational property sales, cabins and such, that assessment is done upon sale now?
No, we always use within our reference period. Yeah, we don't react to the market at all. Any questions?
I guess you can go ahead.
I do have something about the cabin, that one, I'll get to that. So if you turn to page 1 of the report, okay, so your assessment is going to change based on a few things. Supply and demand in the market, new construction, so if you build a house or build a garage, your assessment is going to increase, or if you do improvements to your house, do some renovations, that also adds value to your property. So the province's taxable assessment has increased by 8.5 billion, up 10% to 96.4 billion from 87.9 billion. Your municipal, sorry, this is on page 2, sorry about that. Your municipality's taxable assessment has increased by 97 million, or 12% increase. That's really good. The table below shows all the taxable properties, and just keep in mind that it does not include the exempt properties. So your residential properties is the bulk of your tax base. And you can see in the first column is the 2022 value, and then the second column is 2023 value. And single-family residentials on average increased by 12.9%. Apartments 2.4%. Condos actually decreased by 1.3%. Farm properties increased by 13.9%, so a bit over the average. Commercial 5.5%. Institutional 10.7%. Pipeline 7.4, and Railway 9. So the average increase on all class properties is 12.2%. Just breaking down the residential further, the cottage lakefront has seen the biggest increase by far. I think it was on average 31% increase on property values, lakefront cottages. So we expect to probably hear from a lot of cottage owners on that. But those are the most desirable properties within that reference period.
Just a sec, go ahead, Councillor Borges.
So, if it's gone up 31%, so if somebody comes to you and says something about that, what is your theory? Why did you guys increase it that much?
So what we would do is just provide them with the sales that we use to determine that value. So all the sales of the lakefront properties that are similar to theirs,
Okay.
yeah, within that reference.
But you just said a while ago you guys were influenced by
No, we don't react to the changing market. Yeah, yeah. Like if tomorrow.
But you're reacting to the lakefront stuff.
No, we're using the verified sales. So the market sets the assessment, but we don't react to the changing market. We use the,
Well, that would be changing market too, wouldn't it be?
I should reword that. We don't react to the current changing market. Yeah. So from April 1st, 2018 to April 1st, 2021, the sales of lakefront cottages showed that they increased.
Okay.
Jennifer, you may just want to explain for the councillor market-based assessment that legislation changed several years ago that the assessment is based on the market sales. It used to be that they would do an assessment just based on assessed value without applying the market sales. There was a change.
Yeah, it's definitely market.
Years ago.
So the market drives it, but it's still behind.
Yeah, but so what we're gonna see when you'll do your next assessment here is that the market is driving all this housing industry up. Now you'll probably see big increase in that too, right?
Likely.
Yeah.
So, I'll get to the table here on page, actually this was that page 4. So this table illustrates how the properties, like with the changes of the reassessment, with the increases, how this is going to affect your taxes. And this chart, this graph here or chart is very optimistic because what we did was we used the new reassessment numbers and then calculated the tax change based on the 2021 mill rate, and if you had the exact same 2022 budget, like the same budget as you did in 2022, which is highly unlikely with all the inflation rates. So if we applied the 2021 mill rate and the 2022 budget to our new reassessment numbers, this is how your taxes would change. So single family residential would see a 1% increase in taxes. Apartment blocks would see an 8.2% decrease, condos 11.6% decrease, and farm a 1.5% increase. So there's not a lot of increases. In fact, only residential and farm would see a very small increase. Now these numbers aren't going to be realistic, but it's just to show you, because we don't know what the 2022 or 2023 budget is. Does that make sense to everybody?
Is any of this based or related to the province's changing the manner in which they're collecting taxes or school taxes?
No.
No? Okay.
Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
Okay, so just for clarity, you're using the new assessment numbers would show an average increase of 12%. So if you use the 2021 mill rate, then we should be getting 12% more money.
Yeah.
So these numbers then, like really for it to be somewhat equal, you would have to take the 2021 mill rate and take off 12% of that mill rate.
Yeah, like these numbers are to show you, like, it'll help you to work on your next year's budget. That's what they're there for. So, okay.
Yeah, I think I may need to correct that. The 12% increase is the average 12% increase to make the pie bigger. For
Yes,
the value
yes.
of the properties. The portion of the pie for what you get for the taxes isn't directly related that way. Because there'll be
Well,
decreases and increases, so your mill rate ends up giving you,
Overall, my assessment goes from $100 to $110, and I times it by the same mill rate, I'm getting 10% more.
But the mill rate will
Change.
likely be adjusted based on.
That's the point
on-
I'm making.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There'll be a mill rate adjustment,
so,
maybe.
Yeah.
Well, no, but it's 2023.
this is, yeah, these are 2023 numbers. So the mill rate will be adjusted based on, of course, the assessment values and then your budget.
That's only if we choose to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or you could freeze the mill rate at 0 and then take a 12%.
And that was
Yeah, so like the budget decisions and reassessment will both impact the property taxes paid by each owner. If the assessments are increasing, the mill rate is usually adjusted downwards to.
Just hear the rumble through the room.
Essentially, like, if you go to page 5, this is just the municipal levy. No, this isn't including the school. So you'll see here if, again, use the 2022 budget, 2021 mill rate, these are the increases and mostly decreases that you would see. So if a property increased higher than the 12.2% average, you'll likely see an increase in taxes. If it decreased less than the 12.2, you'll likely see a decrease in taxes. And that's just based on like the averages. And again, these are not numbers, like these are very optimistic numbers, they're not really realistic. We're just for our model, that's what we use, and that's all we have.
We know what you're saying, it just sounds funny, right?
Okay,
What are we doing here? This isn't real, this is all.
Well, in the end, what it comes down to is they're gonna give us the numbers and we're gonna need to decide what the mill rate's gonna be. And then we can figure out how it affects different areas.
I think we'll let you keep going now. I don't see any more hands going
Oh,
up
okay.
there.
Okay, let's go back to page, no, what page do I want to go on? Kind of off script.
We got the
Still my second time. Okay. Okay, so, this, page number 6, let's go to page number 6 here.
Thank you.
So these are, the top there is options that you have if you feel the impact on certain property owners will be too difficult to absorb. I don't feel that any of the classes really have, you know, in some RMs, we're seeing farm go up 40%. So it's, you know, they might want to adopt a different option, or one of these options for the farmers. But if that is something that you're ever interested in, we can discuss that at a later date. And then at the bottom is the education property tax rebate. So for 2022, property owners are going to receive a 37.5%. Last year it was 25%. This year it's 37.5% on their education portion. But the rebate goes down to, from last year it was 700 to 525, and this year it's going down from 525 to 438. And then next year, they'll get a 50% rebate, and it'll go down from 438 to 358. So that is going to be good for anyone that owns multiple properties for sure. And then on page 7, we have the different tax credits that are available to ratepayers, and then different ways that we inform the public about the reassessment. A new thing that we have is called My Property MB, and any Manitoba can go on and create an account for their property, and then look at all of the details on their property, what, like the different buildings that are assessed and the values of them. So that's quite handy. That's new. And then we have the toll-free customer line, of course the open house that I mentioned earlier, and our virtual Wednesday call-ins from 4 to 7. That is about all I have on the tax impact, unless anyone has any more questions.
Questions or comments from members of council?
Jennifer, could you speak a little bit to the legislative changes regarding access to assessment information, I think, that just came forward?
Oh, I don't have that information with me. I can definitely get that information and send it to you.
That would be helpful for council, because there's been an act change which requires sharing of assessment information to residents in an electronic format. And so the provincial assessor will be adopting some processes similar to what's happening in some of the larger cities, where you can type in your address, determine your taxes and so forth, and get it electronically as opposed to just having to come down to the office.
Okay, yeah.
I think you told us about that, you warned us about that a while back too.
Yes, I brought it up, and then I thought maybe if we could talk a little bit, but if Jennifer could give some information as to where they're headed, it would be helpful for council, especially as we move forward.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, it kind of levels the playing field too, right? Because you guys have the information, like, say I want to appeal my assessment. So I come in and talk to you guys, and you have the sheets, well, here's the ones that I needed. Well, if I have access online, then I can say, well, no, here's the ones that I think you should be using,
Exactly.
right? So it kind of levels the playing field, so.
I already got those assessment letters in the mail for Gimli. I got it for Gimli.
Yes, those are for this year's assessment. For next year will be the big one when they made all those changes. I don't think that any electronic information will be readily available this year.
No, not that I know of. You can go online to the property assessment online, and it has a series of drop-down or different searches that you can do, and you can search the sales in on your road or in your neighborhood, but it doesn't give you a lot of detail. It just tells you how much that property sold for. So you don't know what kind of house or how many. Well, it will tell the acres, but very bare minimum details on that.
Does it give you date of sale?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, pretty sure it does.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Strang.
One of the comments I don't know if you bring them on board with you, but
about with the education, do you bring any school board trustee, like anybody from the school board here from our, because we have 3 school boards, you're having it in the municipal office, do they join in on something like this too with your open house?
No, we've never had that, no.
I just know everybody blames the REM for stuff, and it's great to have you come and do an open house
Yeah,
for the residents, so I just thought if they come on, if they were joining also.
yeah, I know, we've never done that, but that's a really good idea, actually. One of the other things that we're trying to do is, one of our new tools that we have is aerial imagery. I don't know if Ed shared anything about the Connect Explorer, the pictometry. So what we've been doing is, for the last 8 years or so, is we fly certain municipalities, and then we do, rather than a physical door-to-door inspection, which is really hard to do, and very time-consuming, we're now using aerial imagery, and it's really, really good imagery where we can, it has built-in measuring tools where you can measure the height of a building, the, obviously the size. It shows like orthogonal view, and the only view you don't get is a street view. But it can show, you know, if maybe it had, you can tell by the imagery if maybe their roof was redone or a new building. And so in St. Clements, we have flown, we've done a partial reinspection. 1,192 of your rolls have been re-inspected by aerial imagery. And then we're in 2022, we actually just finished flying Grand Marais area. So that will be done. And then 2023, so next year we're going to do South St. Clements. So, I mean, we're painting every home with the same brush. Not just anybody that takes out a permit is who we're visiting. It's, you know, some people build without permits. And so this is a way that we capture that. And then it's just fair across the whole municipality rather than just the people that take out the permits or just the people that sold, because they're going to be updated, right? So that, and then what our plan is to fly every 8 years. And when the second flight goes through, it has change recognition software. So if there is a change on a property, it's easily recognized. So that's where we're going, and we're really excited about that because whereas we used to do 4 or 5 physical re-inspections a day, we can now do like 14, 15 on aerial imagery. So that's, and you, the RM, it can be accessible to you. I don't know if you've done any aerial imagery for the RM St. Clements at all?
We do, but
Oh, okay.
we'd definitely be interested in yours because you've got 3D rendering of them, right?
Yeah, it's good for like fire or bylaw officers, police. So that is something that is available. You wouldn't purchase it through us or anything, it would be through that company, but I can get you more information if you like.
Please.
And and don't quote me on this, but I think it's about $1,500 for 10 licenses. So it's really not like a huge investment. But that's something that we're very excited about.
Okay, any other questions or comments for the assessor? And do you have anything that you still want to add to your presentation at this point?
I don't think so. I hope I covered everything, and I'll definitely get you the proper information about the legislation for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, and the imager, that's it, on my part.
Yes, oh, yes.
Okay, so thank you very much for
Okay, thank
coming in this morning.
Do you want me to just leave these on the
Yeah,
table
never
here?
mind, yeah, you can just leave them there and we'll grab them, thank you.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Thank you. You know what, the other thing I wanted to say, sorry. Your appeal deadline is I believe, October 24th, and your board revision is November 13th or 14th this year. So just a reminder about the 2 weeks prior in the newspaper, and probably see you at the board revision.
That was
Maybe.
October 24th, and what was the second date?
The actual board is November 13th.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, have a good day.
Yes, you too.
BPAC, are we gonna notify some of our folks that sat on the board before, just and ask if they're interested in this year as well?
Are you parked in the back or on the side?
On the side.
Okay, so yeah, so it's closer that way then. Okay,
Okay,
take
Yep,
care.
no,
Take care.
okay.
You too, thanks.
Yes.
So she's like the candidate consultant there?
No.
I think Ed Kaloji's still there, isn't he?
Yeah, he was here before that, Koji.
What's that?
Yeah.
Does he have a sign back now?
I don't know. I don't,
Or is it their office of a sign?
No, Salford
no,
still.
Celtic still has their office. Yeah. Yeah, they're still on Eaton Avenue there.
He
so-
might be running both of them.
Yeah, he could be. He could be. Kind of
Not the
interesting
first
stuff,
one,
eh?
no.
Yeah.
Conservative government's probably not about 15.
Okay, let's keep going here. I think Deepak has lots that he'd like to chat to us about today, so. If everybody didn't hand in their sheets to Heather that were on your desk, if you could do that, that's where we're getting to. Don't mind me today.
No worries.
Okay, so we are at number 5 on our agendas, which is communication for action. And the first item we have is the Broken Head Ojibwe Nation, and they're having a grand opening for their community arbor.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Mayor, and what it is held on the Aboriginal Day on Tuesday, June 21st. And it starts at 8 a.m. with a ribbon cutting ceremony at 10, and then a lunch is provided and live entertainment. This is in coordination with the Metro region, and they're inviting everyone to attend.
So what's that called again?
Mama Wita Wanin.
Yeah, and I did get an invitation yesterday, I think it just came yesterday, right from, just looking for it here. On the 24th, the 21st, and I guess basically what they have said in this invitation, here it is. Inviting, council on Aboriginal Day, but they're saying if you're not able to come for the 8 o'clock, at least come for 10 for the ribbon cutting and the grand entry, and then lunch and the program. Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
Not to presume anything, but that's a Tuesday.
It's a
I'm
county.
thinking where there'll be a county meeting.
Actually, I did have that conversation kind of with Deepak yesterday. And my thought was that whoever wants to go to, say, the grand opening or the ribbon cutting at 10 a.m. and then stay for the feast for noon, we could perhaps start our cow meeting at 1 or 1:30 and go in the afternoon. That was my thought. Because I know that Deepak does want to have us here for that day.
I wanted to spend the day there myself.
Well, that's entirely up to you.
At the county.
That's.
See, that's where I was.
So if everybody is good for coming, so let's say for 1:30, that'll give us enough time to have lunch there, whoever is going, and then come here for 1:30 for a cow meeting. Are we good with that?
Yes, we'll give you that.
Don't we have something else going on June 21st? No?
Not that I know of.
Oh, okay.
So since it's within the municipal boundaries, we could just say mayor and council,
Yeah.
just identify anyone. So resolve, Mayor Feeblecorn and council be authorized to attend a grand opening of the community arbor at Sergeant Tommy Prince School in Scantlebury, Manitoba, on Tuesday, June 21st, 2022.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Boulanger, Councillor Sutherland seconds. And I just have a comment. I would like to see more than myself being there. I'd like to see some representation from the council. So if anybody can see their way clear to come out, that would be great. So, got a mover, got a seconder.
I actually was a little confused when I first read it because it kind of talked about mayors and reeves and then it said everyone's invited.
Right.
I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah, I think what happened was WMR had gotten the invitation and circulated it. And it kind of, it didn't come right from the band, but everybody is welcome because I talked to one of the people there on the weekend, so. Okay, got a mover, got a seconder. Call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. The next one we have is West St. Paul.
So, thank you, Madam Mayor, and this is after the election, and it's with George Cuff, and it's about municipal leaders, guide to municipal leadership and survival guide for elected officials. West St. Paul held it last time after the election. What we're recommending is that council can adopt a resolution to invite all of council. We will try to sign up for it in advance, and then after the election, council members can decide which ones want to go or not.
Go ahead, Councilor Gazarovich.
Isn't, this may not be the one, but isn't something that's mandatory now?
I don't think this one is mandatory. The mandatory, I think, is the
Code of conduct.
code of conduct.
And that you do online.
Okay.
Yeah, this is just, it's a boot camp. Were you not at the last one? Yeah, so it's gonna be probably very similar to the last one. Boot camp, or the code of conduct is a little different because you do that one online. Scott and then Sandra.
So, I get the recommendation from administration. My challenge would be the cost. Because we're looking at $2,500 around that, 2,600.
Correct.
And then I guess the question becomes is if we say everybody's going and then only half go, are we still paying the $2,600?
Yeah. That's the
George
thing
has
about,
to eat.
like, it's a lot of money, and how many have seen George Cup over the last 12 years, 10 years, a decade,
Yeah.
some 2-3 times.
It's sort of like a soap opera, you did it once, you could not watch it for 12 years and turn it on, it's the same thing again.
Old fashions.
Go ahead, Sandra.
I guess I was thinking the same thing as Glenn, that it was mandatory that we go, but, so just say in scenario that we're all back sitting here, do we have to do that code of conduct again every report? Okay.
Yeah, that one you
Okay,
do.
so the other thing is if, and I went last time just because of being a new counselor sitting here, I think maybe can we only buy a couple or something for right now? Is there gonna be something that we can still purchase?
Yeah, what's
Like,
the
I think it's
deadline?
funny, like, I think it's
Yeah.
sort of
The
sitting there, like, we would like a few seats. How about if there are new people sitting around here, it would be good for them to go.
Well, and I think the reason they want to know so far ahead of time, and I don't necessarily agree with buying like 7 seats, but I guess they want to know if they're even going to do the event, because if they have no uptake on it, maybe they won't, and I mean, June 15th, to me, that's really early.
Yeah.
Because we don't even know what's gonna happen in October, so I don't know, should we maybe just buy 3 seats and see, and then maybe we can get one or 2 later if need be. We may not even need the 3, we don't know.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Councilor Sutherland.
I wouldn't go whether I'm here or not. I've gone to 2, and I'm not saying you don't get anything out of it, but I've gone to 2, that's enough. So
Right.
regardless of where I'm sitting, I won't be going. Just so
Well,
that's
if
more or
you're
less.
here, you won't be going.
Pardon me?
If you're here, you won't be going.
Big- big-
If you're not here, you definitely won't be
that's right.
going.
I won't be going one way or the other.
Nor I.
That's what I like to say.
Yeah, Glenn said you probably will go because you'll have more time.
Yeah.
Okay,
Exactly.
so what is the wish so we can keep going here? Should we buy 3 seats, say, or 2 seats? And then if we need more, we'll try and get them later, and if not,
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I'm sure they're
Let's
gonna
buy
have
none, and
seats.
then if we need them, then get them.
you might not get any then.
Oh, I'm sure they would.
No loss.
It's not $2,500 per person.
No, 325 times 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is the wish? Go ahead, Scott.
If I'm here, I likely wouldn't go either, because I've seen George come many times. So, and I haven't seen the presentation change drastically.
No.
So, and I'm the same as Dave, it's not that I'm sure you wouldn't pick something up or learn something, that's not the point, but, I'd be more in favor of doing like 3.
3.
And then,
I was gonna say 2
2.
for now.
Yeah, that sounds,
Okay, let's do 2 then.
2 is fine, 2.
Yeah.
we definitely have to, Dave will have to go because he's got to learn more from George, so that's one used up already.
You didn't listen last time.
You like George?
I listened, I just asked him a few questions.
So we know the direction of council, Madam Mayor, and
Yes.
so we've just got a generic item listed there,
Yeah.
which is just that the council can attend, and we'll give them a commitment of 2.
2, yeah. Perfect.
So resolved, council be authorized to attend the 3rd council boot camp at the Southeast Wellness Lodge in West St. Paul on November 14th and 15th, 2022.
Moved by Councillor Bazarovic, second Councillor Strang. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, that was November 14th and 15th.
Correct, Madam Mayor?
Thank you. Okay, the next item we have is the Interlake Tourism Association, and they're going ahead with their annual general meeting that was canceled a few weeks ago, and they're bringing it back. And it is virtual, so go ahead, Deepa.
Yes, and it's on June 23rd at 7 p.m. It starts, and it's, the meeting will be via Zoom.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Do we have a resolution to bring forward, or does it matter if we're doing it by Zoom?
We just have we have the list of the people that said that they would be willing
Okay.
to go.
Yeah.
So, resolved, Mayor Fuglecorn and Councilors David Sutherland and Sandra Strand be authorized to attend the Interlake Tourism Association AGM via Zoom on Thursday, June 23rd, 2022.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, Councillor Horvath seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, so we're down to new and other business. Just-
We have 5.4.
5.4.
I don't have 5.4.
Yes.
I know, I have my old one because I have all my notes on there. Okay, so that one is the invitation from Minister Wharton for the Building Sustainable Communities grant announcement. So go ahead.
Yes, this is, as you may recall, there was a request in 2020, as I recall, from the Spring Hill Snowmobile Club about putting their building on RM land, and council identified the Public Works Yard to be the location, and they were waiting for funding. They still have to get all the permits and all the appropriate approvals, but at this point, they've received significant funding from the Building Sustainable Communities grant for a total of $150,000, and there will be a press announcement to that regard on Friday, June 17th at the Public Works Yard. And so this is a request for invitation as to who will be attending.
I have a question on it. I know that we had agreed that that's where it was going and everything, but after our flooding there earlier this spring, is it still going to be able to be put there, I guess is what I'm asking.
I'm trying to remember the photos that were sent out of the yard underwater and the location of the water. Was that green patch covered, or was it more in the yard where the gravel area was?
It was more along the road and the gravel area in the yard.
Okay.
And theoretically, they wouldn't be accessing it at that period of time anyways.
No,
And so the big issue is, will the building will of course have to be
it'd be a
built appropriately
higher, yeah.
at a higher.
Yeah, see, that's what I was, usually that's what I was thinking.
No, it's a
was,
good point.
You know, like, I mean, I think it's great that it's gonna be there, but after that yard was flooded, it was like, geez, are they gonna be able to put it there?
No,
So-
good point.
Most of the flooding was to the east of the shop, wasn't it? Kind of in the.
Correct, yeah, on the east side. The issue, I think the big issue is that it has to be appropriately fenced, so there will be some logistics and design constraints that we have to go through with them yet. In 2020, we had initial discussions, and basically there hasn't been many discussions, and this was a very quick surprise for us and an announcement. So Public Works is working on that plan right now. Greg was thinking of putting in another building in that area and so forth in the future, so we have to take a look and make sure that we can make it work. But the announcement is the announcement.
I hope that, when we met with Public Works with this idea that it was gonna go on a green site, and the organizers of the Snowmobile Club were there, we did agree that that's where it would go, because it would be the best spot. To change that now and tell the club we wanna move you somewhere else, I don't know.
Oh, I'm not talking about changing it.
You said, Greg, we had an idea of putting
About
something.
putting another building behind there.
Oh, not to affect theirs.
And
though.
just, exactly, not
Got
to
it,
affect
okay.
theirs, so just to make sure that he took those things into consideration.
Good, okay.
And then they would require attachment to the fence and some sort of access.
The advantage, the advantage is gonna be is when they reconnect that or re-straighten that road, it's at that point that the Snowmobile Club is gonna have their fence separate from everything. So us realigning the road is the opportune time to do it right and have a separate entry for them. So,
Except that part of the budget hasn't been established, that detail of realigning that road. So that'll be something, some of the logistics we have to work on.
Okay, Councillor Spicer and Councillor Sutherland.
So it's more of an issue of maybe how the fencing is done.
yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Go ahead, Councillor Sutherland.
Who has to make application to the planning board?
They
The RM?
do. No, they do.
It's on our property.
We give them authority to make the application on our property, but they'll have to go through the appropriate permitting. Of course, we'll work with them.
Yeah.
on all that.
Yeah.
Just a comment,
Go ahead.
do we need a resolution for this being in the RM?
Wouldn't we need the resolution to show that we're allowing them to be there?
Yeah, and I think
We had
Minister,
passed a resolution in the past in 2020 for them to be there.
yeah,
Okay.
So at this point, it was just, there's a press announcement.
Yeah.
Thought it was a significant press announcement
that's right.
in the RM, so we put it in. No, we
Yeah.
don't necessarily need a resolution for council to attend within the council agendas, but we have been doing that for major projects, just to identify who's coming.
Anybody can go.
Correct.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I can't go. I have a WMR meeting at the the same time, so. And I'm not sure, I know it's the province's announcement, but I'm not sure if they're going to ask for somebody to speak, so Councillor Strang, did you want to speak at that event? I see your name is there. so.
I actually put that I'm question
Oh,
mark going,
question mark?
that if I can get away from
Councillor
work.
Boulanger then? Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
but thank you.
Yeah, okay, so I see Councillor or Deputy Mayor Bazarowicz is not going, so we'll.
Yep, if need be, I can say something.
Yeah, just, I mean, it doesn't have to be real wordy or anything, just, yeah, because I know that Minister Wharton always kind of likes everybody to say a few words.
You just have to top it on it.
If
Well,
you need any help, Councillor, just let me know.
I could have used your help on Saturday. Anyways, let's do this resolution, we'll talk about that after.
Okay, resolve Councillors David Sutherland, Robert Boulanger, David Horbus, Sandra Strang, and Scott Spicer be authorized to attend the Building Sustainable Communities Grant Program announcement for the Spring Hill Trail Blazers Snowmobile Club at the Public Works Yard on June 17, 2022.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sutherland, Councillor Bazarowicz, seconds. Discussion. Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Okay, so now we are down to,
Any other business?
yeah, I know that the screen is jumping around. The community event sponsorship, and that is through the Selkirk Record. I don't know if you want to
Correct.
go through that.
Madam Mayor, this is, we sponsor various events as part of advertising for the RM, and there is a policy that does this regularly, so we're just bringing forward information in regards to that. They are 3 new ads that they're coming forward with for a harvest safety in September, the Heritage Recipe Collection, and the Christmas greeting in December. So those are the 3 items that we're recommending to continue on with those 3 items.
Okay, any questions or comments? So that kind of covers all our ads for the whole year, correct?
Yes, and an additional ad request we deal with
Right. Okay.
on an as-needed basis.
Okay, if we have a resolution, we'll bring it forward.
Resolve council authorize administration to accept the 3 additional community event advertisement opportunities for 2022 with a Selkirk Record at a total cost of $630 plus GST.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, Councillor Boulanger, seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, next item, 6.2, Bell Canada and its next generation 9/11 authority service agreement.
This is just an agreement to proceed with the update to the 911 service that we utilize, and it's just authorizing the mayor and council at this point, or mayor and CAO to sign. At this point, there hasn't been any costs identified with this.
Okay. Any questions or comments? We can bring the resolution forward.
Resolved, the 2022 Next Generation 911 Authority Service Agreement between the Arm of St. Clements and Bell Canada be accepted, and the mayor and CEO be authorized to sign and seal same.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horbus, Councillor Strang, seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, the next item is Public Works 6.4, the fuel surcharge for graveling.
Yes, Madam Mayor?
Oh, crack sealing
Correct,
first.
seal, yes.
Okay.
So, as you know, Madam Mayor, we do regular crack sealing of our asphalt roads, which is to do preventative maintenance and manage the road. There's an estimated amount of 36,084 linear meters. We get a unit price. This year, there's approximately 10,000 meters more of crack seal, and the price has increased by just over 20%. As the price of oil is impacting, of course, the tar, And this will require about $40,000 more to complete these works, which I've met with Public Works, and I'll be discussing a little bit of the budget with you in camera. And we feel that we can absorb it in existing budgets at the moment. In July, we will be coming back with a variance report for council's review, at which point we can make some decisions on some of the other things. But as you know, we've had some significant cost increases due to oil prices as well as COVID related.
And so total cost would be 70,000, right?
Correct.
So that additional 10,000 meters, that's not for,
Or, sorry, the total cost is at 130.
Oh,
that additional 10,000 meters, I don't know how to say this. Is this on roads that have previously been repaired, or is this on roads that we haven't had to do much repair on?
It's a review of all our roads, and then there's, Public Works identifies how many, like where we need to do this. Some of it is, some of it happens just as the winter. Some of those crack seals come up, some don't, and it's just a matter of regular maintenance to avoid them getting worse. If you take a look at what happened, in other municipalities, like the big one to the south, some of those cracks that were just crack sealed turned into almost a foot wide due to this last winter.
Okay. I don't have a problem with it, I was just more curious to see if this was newer roads or just some of the older roads that are kind of just falling apart.
Well, generally speaking, what it is preventative maintenance to manage them from falling apart. So the crack sealing is allowing for the expansion and contraction, and making sure water doesn't get in underneath.
it freezes and it's.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Sutherland.
I can't remember who was the lowest bidder last year, who was it, S&M or?
It's a good question. I can get that information for you, Councilor.
No, it's not a big deal. I was curious if this is a new one, though, a Precision joint seeding. They're the lowest, and I think that's who we went with, but, yeah. I mean, we used to have LMF Lightning, we were
Yes.
good, but they never even put a bid in the last couple of years, so.
Holy heck, and only 2 guys bid it too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it says, sorry.
Go ahead.
So it says they invited only 2 because it's really the only 2 that are doing it.
Yeah, I wonder what happened to LMF Lightning.
I don't know,
Yeah,
they were good.
yeah. Well, if you have a resolution, bring it forward and we'll go from there.
Be it resolved, council accept the recommendation of the Public Works Manager authorizing CAO to authorize the Public Works Manager to award the asphalt crack sealing to Precision Joint Sealing, Inc. for $3.62 per meter plus applicable taxes estimated at $130,624.08 plus GST, and complete all the required crack seal within the municipality.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sutherland, Councillor Bazzarolo, second. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Now we can move on to the fuel surcharge for graveling, 6.4 on the agenda.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And on this one, I requested for this to come forward. What it is that council had already approved the gravel tender process, so we awarded the gravel tendering to the 2 suppliers, one for limestone and one for the gravel. And since then, as you know, fuel prices have gone up significantly. So we were approached by them for increase into the cost. And as part of that increase, I'm sorry, I brought up the wrong one here. As part of the increase, they've requested 80 cents per ton request. And In discussions with Public Works, we felt, although the contract that we have allows us to say, no, you've already submitted a tender and, you know, it's your responsibility to cost. We thought it should be fair and consider the fuel surcharge is increasing dramatically everywhere. And went decided to meet with them at 50% as a request.
40. I thought it said.
40, 80 and 40.
Go ahead, Councillor Hodges.
Local government district of Alexander put the tender out to haul the gravel, we're hauling gravel there now. And this fuel thing came out, they're not budging. They said, whatever you get it for, that's what it is, and they're not getting no increase or nothing. Not only that, but they want us to do extra work there, and they want us to do that extra work first, and they want us to do it for the low price. So, I don't know.
Go ahead.
That's why I thought it was worthwhile bringing to council. I felt it was fair, considering the requests, and there's a possibility with the size of the contract they may.
Say, forget it, we don't wanna do it, but then, you know, then if somebody's low next time and they do that to us, why would we ever, it kind of puts us in a situation where we have to take low tender all the time. And then when they walk away, it's okay. Do you know what I mean, sort of thing? So I don't know. I don't think it's fair. I think we should give the increase a certain amount, and I don't think it's fair what Alexander's doing either. I mean,
We've done it before.
Must have been long ago, because I don't recall
Well,
that.
it's been a while, but yeah,
I thought in our tender, when we bid stuff there, it said if you're bidding stuff like for machinery or rental of equipment and that, there was an option in there that said right in the tendering, if you either put your price in this way, that if fuel goes up, you could get the surcharge, or no, make your price more now, sort of thing, and then you don't get an increase. I remember reading it in that
Yeah,
tender
our
thing.
tender protects us, that we can certainly say that, you know, that's the case. These kinds of things come up on various contracts all the time. If you apply it fairly, like if we were applying it only to one, then there would be a concern. If we applied it to both, then at least we're treating both of them fairly. We're definitely not going to the point that they're requesting. Felt a 50% increase, the way that gas prices are going up, I'm expecting them to probably go up again in the next month or two as we go through this entire gravel program.
Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
So, I'm looking at it from a practical aspect. So, generally we get the same people that bid these jobs for us each year. Okay, so, not saying that they will be the highest or the lowest next year, but in all actuality, when you're thinking about this, if you don't give them something now, you're gonna be paying for it later anyway.
absolutely.
Like, they have memories. So in the end,
Keepers.
it's probably better to be fair now. I mean, I can see them asking for 80 cents, because that's probably what it's gone up since the time of the tender, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that we need to give them 80 cents. We're meeting them in the middle. I think I can support the recommendation.
Anybody, go ahead, Councillor Boulanger.
I think it's fair as well.
Anybody else, comments? Go ahead, Councillor
I
Sutter.
feel the same way. I think that half of what they asked for, Greg's recommendations, I would go for, yeah.
I think that's very fair.
Okay, if you have a resolution, it looks like we can bring it forward.
Seems to be clicking at the wrong things today. Be it resolved, council accept the recommendations of the Public Works Manager and accept the increased gravel supply and haul fuel surcharge by 40 cents per ton for all tons hauled within the approved tender.
Can I have a mover, please? Counselor Bazarowicz, second Counselor Sutherland. Any further questions or comments? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, then we have the, I think this one's the addition to the agenda, the dust control policy.
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Thank
And
you.
this one is, what it is that we adopted a policy for dust control, and we also adopted a policy for the number of, for private individuals, if you wanted to get some additional dust control, what was the price per lineal foot or square meter? And so as part of that, the policy states that if there's going to be an increase, it comes back to council. What we're recommending is due to fuel surcharges and fuel increases, we're expecting our dust control to go up in price. And so in anticipation of that, we're recommending going from 45 cents per square meter to 50 cents per square meter.
Questions, comments?
Just to note, there was only 3 individuals that took us up on it last year. There may be more this year, don't know. I also should note for council that we're about 2 weeks at least behind in our dust control program due to the weather.
Go ahead, Counselor Strain.
This is the year also that we do the other roads in
Correct.
cottage country, so because I have to have some
This, this year we'll be doing all of the roads.
Right, so I think maybe we might get less too, right? So,
How do you mean all of the roads?
Well, all the roads that are as part of our dust control policy. So the,
Part of the cottage
the
area.
cottage areas, like, you know, we had high use roads previously.
Yes, yeah.
And then we had a list of level 1 and level 2 type
Right,
roads. So
right.
this year we do all level 1 and 2 roads.
Oh, okay, okay,
All of them.
all roads.
Yeah, we're still in every second year for the resorts.
Correct.
Yeah.
But obviously, we're not doing a gravel road that there's nobody living on it.
No,
No, I know they were graveling yesterday because our road got half done. I was at the end of the day, and when I went out, it was, you know, halfway from Old Henderson to the railway track, and I guess it was home time, so.
And that'll be the questions that we'll be getting, because we're behind on our graveling program, and we're behind on our dust control program. And wherever we're doing graveling, they come and do the dust control after, and not necessarily the same immediately after, so some people will be upset that they just got gravelled, and then it'll be a lot more dustier.
Well, I guess with the sprinkles that we're getting from above, it should be okay for a couple of days again. Go ahead, Councilor Spicer.
Well, Madam Mayor, maybe they're only doing half because of COVID.
Could very well be. Okay, let us see the resolution here for the dust control policy.
Be it resolved, council accept the recommendation of the Public Works Manager of increasing additional dust control application to 50 cents per square meter as per policy index 350. Be it further resolved, administration update the policy.
Can I have a mover, please? Councilor Spicer, Councilor Boulanger, seconds. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And carried. Okay, I would like to take a 5-minute break if we could, and then we'll do our